So are you interested in doing a whiskey advent for yourself for this holiday season, but all the products out there are just a little too expensive? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to talk through how to make one for yourself at home. Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever, and today we're going to talk about how to make an advent calendar. Now, this is something me and my friends have been doing for the last couple years, and we always just wanted to do an advent, but almost all the products out there were just really too expensive. There's a couple out there, there's one that Flavor does that's like 300 something. There's a couple others out there. I think Cask does one that's like 250. There's different products out there, but it's just hard to stomach that price. You think about it, you get roughly 24 ounces, 24 days in the year, and you're paying $200, $300. I don't think you're getting a $200 or $300 bottle back. You know, a bottle is roughly 25 ounces. So it's always been tough for me to stomach on that. So me and my friends came up with this ingenious way to make our own advent for a fraction of the cost. And if this is something that you're interested in doing with your friends, share it to them. That way you guys can do it this holiday season. So the first thing you're gonna need to get is a bunch of 1 ounce sample jars. I don't have any affiliation with any of the different manufacturers out there. There's tons of places on Amazon you can get it. I'll put a link down in the show notes to one of the brands, but there are just others you can get. Go through Amazon, see if you can find one that has maybe better shipping or just better price per quantity. You're gonna need 24 sample jars per person. So the amount you need are gonna vary based on how many people you're doing the advent with. And if a lot of this sounds intimidating, feel free to do the 12 days of Christmas. 24 can be a lot. For me personally, I've done this like 2 or 3 years now, and every time it gets down to around like day 18, 19, I am almost like tapped out. So feel free to do 12 if 24 sounds a little over the top or intimidating. So now you got your sample jars, and now you need to figure out what whiskey is gonna go in those sample jars. So figure out how many people you're gonna have in your group, but you're gonna need 24 different types of whiskeys if you're gonna do the 24 days. So if you have 2 people, you'd each would contribute 12 different bottles. If you have 4, that would be 6 different types of whiskeys per person. Or if you had 6 people, it'd be 4 different types of whiskeys per person. You kind of just do the math out that way. And what's nice about this system is you, in theory, don't really need to be buying more whiskey. You would just be pouring samples from bottles you already own, which should, and boy math here, cut down the costs. I know you eventually paid for it at one point in time, but basically it's on your shelf, so it's free already. So now you've got your sample jars, you figured out how many different types of bottles each person is contributing, and now you gotta figure out which bottles you should contribute yourself. So in my eyes, there are a couple different ways you can go about this. The first category for myself, a shelf-stable product, something that you think could absolutely destroy LEs. And in my opinion, one of the best ones you can get is either a Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Bourbon or the Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye. In the last 2 years that my group has done this has been the #1 bottle, beating out a ton of different LE bottles. So I'd highly recommend you throw this in your advent, or just whatever. Everyone has different taste profiles, so whatever your group loves. If you're big Old Forester fans, put Old Forester bottle. If you're Maker's Mark, get one of their shelf-stable products. Figure out what your taste profiles are. Maybe it's like you're specific. Maybe you and your friend have a running disagreement over what is the best shelf-stable product. You guys can both put them in there and see which one is better. So the main reason I like putting in shelf-stable products in my advent blind is it's just fun to see what shelf-stable products can beat highly sought-after allocated bottles. These allocated bottles you have spent a ton of time or money trying to get, and doing them blind with the shelf prep products that you can get in almost every single store, it's really good to know if it's worth your time or money to chase those down when you can just go down the street and get a shelf-stable product such as this JD Barrel Proof Rye. Okay, the second category, what type of bottles you can put in, I think, are store picks. Now, store picks, I think, are the hidden gem in whiskey right now. You can find a ton of great single barrels out there that go head to head with LE bottles. The issue with this is you definitely need to go to your local stores and sample them. That's because single barrels are just variants of the shelf-stable product. There's one note in it that will be more pronounced than others. It might be sweeter than the shelf-stable product, it might be more oaky. There's just different types of variants on how it can differ from the batch product. So you definitely want to try and see if that variant is aligned with yourself. But sometimes in these single barrels, they can just come out with fantastic pours, just because every barrel is different. You know, where it's in the warehouse, top, bottom, floor, how long it's been aging, all the way down to the exact wood that was in that barrel. Was it cut from the top of the tree, bottom of the tree? How old is that tree? So there's all these different factors that go into every barrel, and it's why they taste all a little different. Okay, the next category of bottles that I typically put in my Advents is LEs that are overhyped. And the perfect example for me is the Old Fizz decanter bottles. These are absolutely gorgeous bottles. Everyone hunts them because they're very limited quantity and they just look amazing on your shelf. However, the juice inside, 9 times out of 10, is just not worth it. But I know everyone, whenever these go in drops, it's like one of the first things out the door. So this is, to me, one of the perfect bottles to put in an Advent blind, because when you take the pretty bottle away, the name, the juice just doesn't stand up. So when you put it up next to some shelf-stable products, times and times again, it will just not receive high scores. So through putting a bottle like this in the Advent calendar will help the FOMO with some of your friends. They'll taste it, realize it's not worth it, and they'll spend their time chasing other bottles that are worth it or just grabbing a shelf-stable product. Now, the last category of bottles that I put in are LEs that are 100% worth the hype and are my personal whiskey of the year contenders. Now, the reason I put these bottles in the Advent is I want to see at the end of the day, blind, is this actually a whiskey of the year contender? I'll have it, sitting here next to the bottle, drink it, fall in love with it. But when you take all the label bias away, does it actually stand on its own legs? So when you put it in the Advent, you don't know which day it is, when it's going to come up. You sample it, give it a score, and we'll see out blind if it actually is whiskey of the year contender worthy. The only thing I'll say about this is it's not for the faint of heart. When you put these in the blind, sometimes they do poorly. So if you don't want to face that realization, you don't want to open that Pandora's box, don't put it in the blind. But me personally, I would want to know how it is blind, so I put it in. But if you don't want to accidentally go down that path, you spend all that time and money and are scared of that result, maybe not do it, but I think it's worth knowing. Some other things to consider when you're picking bottles to go in the Advent: you want a variety of different things. So you want different types, like to get some bourbons, get some ryes, maybe scotch, other types of international whiskeys. Get some finishes in there, normal finishing. Maybe there's people in the group who say, I've not liked any finishing in my life, they're all garbage. Throw some of your favorite finishes in there and see if they pick it up on it. They might not even notice this finish, fall in love with it. And so that's a good way to open people's eyes to certain finishing products. Similarly, get different types of ages and different distilleries. Don't pick all Maker's Mark, unless that's what you want to do. If you want to do a Maker's Mark Advent because you're a huge fan, go for it. Traditionally, I like diversity, different types of legacies, craft, non-distilling producers, and just see across the board, just get variety as the season goes on. So during Advent, me and my friends play a game. I'll put it up here in the corner of the different scoring systems that we have, but this might be a little too much for you. Don't fret, you don't have to do this. This is just something we do, so I thought I'd throw it out there with the different point structures. You get points for how close you are improved, and we try to give it varying degrees because you have some beginners, some experienced people, so try and make it a little more friendly for some people. If you get within a certain range, you at least get some points. If you do want to be more, I don't know the word, like just ruthless, you could add negative points if you're certain far away. We don't do that, but that's something you can yourself consider. But if you're looking for something just a little more streamlined, I would recommend doing the rating system and just guess the bottle. That's very simple, easy to do, and still gets to half the fun of the game. But turning to the rating system here, I try to align them with actual things you would do with the bottle. To me, a lot of times in 1 through 10 is just very subjective. Like, what does a 4 mean? What does 6.5 mean? So I try to line it up here with just different things you'd actually do with the whiskey. So to me, a 0 is a drain pour. You aren't even gonna finish the bottle. You're just gonna chuck it down the drain, pour it out, not gonna touch it again. 2 to me is a mixer. So this is something that you buy it, you can't really drink it neat. There's a lot of imperfections with it. So you don't want to throw it away though. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna mix it with your cocktails here and just kind of get through it that way. A 4 will be either like a bar pour or a one-time purchase. This is something that you drink it, you think it's enjoyable, you like it, but it's just not something you're gonna go to time and time again. You might not be able to finish a full bottle of it, but in the end, it's something that you're enjoying and it's definitely something you think is worth trying once. The idea of this tier system is they're trying to get a bell curve. Most things should finish around 5, 4 and 6 is the next tier, and then as you get further and further out, it should be more less scores on the end peripherals of the 10 and 0. So now going on to the other side of this bell curve here, we're going to 6. This is something that you'll buy again eventually. You don't always need to have it on your shelf, but when you go through a bottle, you see in the store, you'll grab it again. Now for something to get an 8, this is something that you must always have on your shelf. You're gonna go and bunker it in case they stop selling it. You want this bottle for the rest of your life, and you should be starting to get further and further again on this distribution curve. There shouldn't be that many bottles that you personally will bunker. We all have infinite resources, and just how much whiskey you can drink in your life, there's always new whiskey coming out. So for a bottle that you want to bunker and have multiple of, it should be a higher scale. I know for some of us out there who buy a lot of whiskey, it might be something that's a little lower on the tier, but in theory it should be something that is much higher. And then lastly, 10, perfect score. This should be something that's almost perfect. There's absolutely no flaws with whiskey. It's everything you would want in it. I personally have never given out a 10, but it should be something that is almost perfect in your eyes and just cannot get any better. So once you get all your samples poured, you're gonna need a third party to mix them up. I typically get my brother. Thank you for doing it. I could not do it without you, because otherwise I would have to mix them up. I would know which days are which, so I couldn't do the blind myself, but I'm lucky enough to have a brother who will do it for me. So he mixes them all up. And then roughly once a week, me and my friends would get together and reveal that week's answers. We don't do daily because just things get in the way of life. You have things going off throughout the holiday season. We all have different functions. That time of year can get a little hectic. Also, drinking whiskey every day can take a toll. So we do reveal once a week, so you have that full week to get through your 7 samples, put your answers in, and then we meet together. We go over the reveal. So we'll talk about our different scores of the bottles, and we'll reveal actually what that bottle was and just have our initial reactions. There can be a lot of good banter in there. There definitely is times in those reveals we'll give a person a hard time. For instance, if it's an allocated bottle that they've swore by for their whole life, they're always chasing it, they have tons on the shelf and they give it like a 2. Or if it's a bottle that they said they've always just absolutely hated, but they all of a sudden give it a 6+. But every year, time and time again, there's always surprises on reveal day. So the last thing that my group will do together on Advent is we go in together and buy a bottle for Christmas Day to split among ourselves. Typically the Christmas bottle is something that none of us would buy individually ourselves, either because it is hard to find or it's just the secondary on it is just dumb high and it's just something that you wouldn't splurge on for yourself. So as a group, collectively, we'll go out and buy a bottle, split among ourselves, and each have a pour on Christmas Day together. And I highly recommend you do this with your friends because it is fun trying something that you wouldn't get yourself. It's like buying a Christmas present for your friend group together. And the cost at the end of the day aren't that expensive because you split it among your friends because you're only buying a portion of it. So that's how me and my friends do an Advent every year. But let me know in the comments how you guys do it. If you have any suggestions on ways to change it. Me and my friends are always find different ways to tinker each year to make it just a little easier or different. So definitely leave those comments. But if you're enjoying this content before you head out, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any content going forward. In addition, check out this video or this one. And until next time, cheers.